to go!
Good afternoon. Welcome to Claude and the Banstas on this lovely Friday afternoon. The sun's out and shining. Hopefully a lot of people can get out and take your exercise walk and just get your minds cleared and all that, ready for the weekend games of the FA Cup. FA Cup starts tonight. We've got a fantastic guest with us tonight, ex-Arsenal legend, Super Kevin Campbell. How you doing, Kev?
Hi, Tel. I'm fine, thank you, mate. Listen, I must say to you, I hope Claude makes a full recovery. And Claude, if you're watching, take it easy, mate, and don't take any risks, mate. You'll be back, I'm sure, very soon.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. Just before we break, talk about getting to the Arsenal and the transfer business that's going on. There's three little bits of news I want to quickly pick up on, Kevin. First of all, is the shock result of last night, Burnley beating Liverpool. What's your thoughts on that, mate?
Well, it's not really a shock to some. Obviously, Liverpool haven't been playing well. Liverpool haven't been scoring. That front three have finally hit the wall, so to speak. And listen, Burnley are one of those teams, you just never know what they can do. You know, they've turned us over at home. And now they go to Anfield and break their 3-year unbeaten run, you know. But listen, it is what it is. It's a crazy season. And fair play to Burnley.
No, exactly. Penalty for you, definite penalty?
Yeah, it's a penalty. It's a penalty. The keeper's nowhere near the ball. He gets the man and, slots it away nicely, doesn't he? And what a great result.
Yeah, no, exactly. Just a couple of bits of injury news coming in. That Brendan Rodgers is confirming that Jamie Vardy is out for a few weeks after a minor ulnar operation. What's that going to do for their... at the moment, their title challenge, because that's where they are at the moment, Kev.
Yeah, well, they're gonna be less of a threat, aren't they? That's for sure. Whoever comes in, whether it's Perez or Inacho or whatever, they're not going to have the same potency with Jamie Vardy out. I think the key to what they do is to be in and around it by the time he comes back. That's the key for them, because obviously when he comes back, they're more potent. But it's definitely a dent in their title hopes.
Yeah, definitely. And Pep Guardiola has confirmed that Kevin De Bruyne will be out between 4 and 6 weeks with an hamstring injury. I mean, they're on the charge at the moment. City got a couple of games in hand, I think, over the top. So that's gonna hurt them too, isn't it, Kev? Yeah,
well, he's probably one of the best players in the world at the moment, and we all know what he brings to the table. But Manchester City got a squad. They've got a squad and a half, haven't they? And their squad is built to deal with injuries. So, someone's going to have to come in and step up. I'm sure they will, because they seem to be the form team right now. And I think they're 1 game behind Man United and 2 points behind Man United. So if they win their game in hand, they go top. So it's going to be it's going to be exciting second half to the season.
Just quickly before we actually, I mean, it's quite unbelievable, really, when you think about it. I mean, the bad start that we did have, let's be honest, it was a bad start.
No, it was terrible.
And Liverpool had a great start, and yet we're only 7 points behind them, Kev.
I know, and they're in 4th place.
Yeah,
but that it just goes to show, Terry, that this season is a crazy one, and anything can happen. We've seen us be awful, and we've picked up clean sheets, make a massive difference. The defense seems to be sorting itself out. Leno seems to have sorted himself out as well. He deserves some praise, Tel, I must say that. Yeah. And, we've got Aubameyang scoring. We've got Emil Smith-Rowe producing. We've got the jewel in the crown, Saka, who's even younger than him, still being unbelievable.
Yeah.
Partey's back. Gabriel's back. So when you look at it, it's our time to push on now. And we expect us to push on. And you know what? A few more wins gets you in the mix, and you never know from there.
Exactly, mate. We get on to Arsenal and the way we've been playing, mate, and Arteta and the players and everything. Just a minute. Let's deal with the transfer news first. And the first one is breaking news this morning, come out of nowhere, let's be real, because no ITKs on Twitter or Sky Sports or anything like that picked it up. but we have signed Matt Ryan from Brighton on until the end of the season. Your thoughts on him, Kev?
Yeah, decent keeper. He's done well for Brighton when he was in net. Obviously, he's fell out of favour there, but he's an experienced goalkeeper, and this is what we wanted. We needed somebody to back Leno up who had that experience, who could, control a back four or back five, or do what is needed. Runnisson's probably a bit too young, too much pressure on him. So I think it's a smart move, and I believe he's an Arsenal fan as well. I think he's an Aussie. He's an Arsenal fan. So, hey, come home, Matt, come home.
Exactly. No, you're definitely right. He is an Arsenal fan. He is Australian. Look, at the end of the day, we needed a backup goalkeeper. As far as I'm concerned, getting him on loan, look, we can see what he can do. I think we've signed him just in time for it. He may be able to play Saturday's game if it comes to it, Kev. So we might be able to get a look at him, see what he can do. We already know what he can do at Brighton, if you know what I mean. But he's a backup keeper, much more experienced than Renarson, and that's exactly what we wanted, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. Look, I think, when the fan base looks at Runnison and sees him as number 2, I think there's a bit of trepidation in the fan base. But now, obviously, there's someone there with the experience who can step in and control his own. He could hold his own. So I think it's great business. Another one who we could, probably look at him, try it before we buy, if that's what we want to do.
Yeah, no, exactly. Look, I mean, there's no more really that can be said to him. We needed a backup goalkeeper. So even if that's just until the end of the season, we'll get on to what I'm building up to in a second. But let's get up to the second sort of breaking news today. And it looks like it might cross the line today of all the rumours that I'm seeing, Kevin. And that is obviously Odegaard, the transfer from Real Madrid. Looks like it's in advanced talks. The 22-year-old looks like he could be coming to the Emirates. But that's not the first time he's been here. He come and visited the training ground when he was 15 years old. We was looking at him, trying to buy him, Kev, but Real Madrid got him first. So what's your thoughts on him, mate?
Well, I covered him last season. He was on loan at Real Sociedad for, I think it's two seasons. I covered him last season at Sociedad, and I've got to say, he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant there. They were playing football, unbelievable football. They were right up there in the league, and they were taking some of the best teams apart. I'm telling you, he was instrumental. And he's still a youngster, but he's quite experienced now. Obviously, went back to Real Madrid, his parent company, at the end of the season, and he's been trying to break into that Real Madrid side. Obviously, league champions. But it's so hard to break into that team. I mean, you got Cruz and Modric and Casemiro and Valverde, who's whenever he gets an opportunity, he's doing really well. You got your likes of Isco and all these guys. It's difficult to break in, and he hasn't quite made it there. But I think this loan could be what's really best for him. I'm not too sure how he's going to adapt to the Premier League, but as I said, I've seen him play. He's a great talent. How he adjusts to the Premier League, I don't know, because we've seen players with bigger reputations come in and not be able to cut it, and we've seen players who we never knew about absolutely rip it apart. So I'd like to think if we get half the player that he was last season, Terry, we'd be happy.
Where do you see him playing, Kev? I mean, do you think he'd be a first teamer? Or is he coming to sort of, assist with Smith Rowe so he can rotate them? Where do you see him playing, Kev?
Yeah, I'm not sure. He can play beside Thomas Partey. He can play as a number 10. He can play as a pivot of two centre midfielders ahead of a holding midfielder. So it just depends on what Mikel Arteta wants to do with the team. But he's not just a number 10, that's for sure. No, he's not. He's got a lot more to his game than just being a number 10.
Excellent. Now, look, I mean, it's exciting times. I think, a youngster. And basically what you just said about Ryan, the goalkeeper. It's another sort of try before you buy, Kev.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think there are some sort of options in there that we're loaning him out until the end of the season, and then we might be able to come to some sort of arrangement at the end of the season. For me, this is brilliant business. You know what I mean? I can't understand it because you can never win with this fan base. We all know that with our fan base, Kev. You know what I mean? Because you know what I mean. All you hear is no one's ever going to go out and buy a great player in January. So you know what I mean. We've got to wait to the summer window. So if that's the case, the next best thing surely is to get some players in on loan, because the simple reason is we're getting rid of the deadwood, Kev.
Yeah, we're getting people out, and then we're getting new faces in who the manager and his coaching staff believe could help us move forward. That's got to be a plus. That's a massive plus as far as I'm concerned. And I'm sure it's a massive plus. But, you know, sometimes our fan base, they want everything. And you can't have everything. You want all the deadwood out, and you want to be able to buy all the players that you need in January. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen. So we have to try and juggle a little bit and get some of the players in on loan. And listen, as long as we get them in, that's what matters. Yeah. If they hit the ground running, and you know, we've signed players on loan previously. Some have worked out, some didn't. But I like the look of this Odegaard. Let's see what he can do.
Do you think that would be the end of our transfer business of incomings, Kev, or do you think there's a couple more, maybe?
No, I'd like to think there's a couple more to be done. But it's whether it can get across the line, and there's a lot depends on who they're actually going for and the clubs that they play for, because you know as well as I do, this game now is a squad game. You need to have good players in your squad, and even though some players have fallen out of favour, clubs tend to still want them in their squad just in case. So you know, it takes a bit of time to do these deals. Odegaard's a good one, because, you know, he's way down the pecking order at Real Madrid for somebody who's that talented. But when you start to go or look at other areas, people are asking about fullbacks. But we've got cover at fullback if we're honest. You know, potentially, could we go and get a strike? Could we go and get a winger, etc.? But we've got those players. It's just a matter of if we can get bodies in. And if they can get bodies in, great. If they can't, then, you know, a goalkeeper and Odegaard would have to do.
Yeah, no, exactly. Let's move on quickly to a few outs that have gone out, because I just need to get your opinion on them, Kev. Obviously, the big one that divides the fan base, I think the biggest player that has divided any fan base, and that's Mesut Ozil going to Fenerbahce.
Great move for Mesut Ozil, and a great move for Arsenal. Obviously, Mesut Ozil weren't even in matchday squads. He weren't playing. So a player who's not playing is no good to the football club, and he's no good to himself. I think this ticks boxes for both. Mesut Ozil obviously goes to the club he supported as a boy. We know of his talent, of course we do. But unfortunately, his talent was only going one way. And we can't afford to carry a one-way player anymore. You see the difference. Even Smith Rowe's not as talented as Mesut Ozil, but Smith Rowe works both ways. He works back and makes a difference to us. So, you know, fortunately, it's kind of worked out in our favour. And don't forget, if Mesut Ozil was involved in the squad, we probably wouldn't see Smith Rowe.
Yeah.
So, you know, we have to take the positives out of it. It's worked out for Mesut Ozil, and it's worked out for Arsenal.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. A sort of question for you. Do you think he was the mole?
I've no idea. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. We know. Listen, he's an easy one to say he's the mole, isn't it? That's exactly, the easy one, because obviously he was out of favour, etc. But I'll be honest with you. I don't know.
Yeah. Obviously, it seems to me it must have been one of that sort of, because I mean, if you look in the background, Kev, probably at the training ground and, you know, on their social life and things like that, the players that we're getting rid of look like they was all in a little clique themselves anyway, which is fair enough. It's not a problem. You know what I mean? You all have your little cliques and you have your friends and things like that. I've not got a problem with that. But obviously, it must have come from one of these sort of players, and that's why we shipped them. Look, we needed them to go anyway, Kev. We needed these players that have gone anyway. So
yeah, there were surplus to requirements at Arsenal, and
exactly.
I think what happens, Terry, is when the culture changes. The culture change when Mikel Arteta came in was a shock to the system of that clique.
Yeah,
because that clique had been running things at the club for a while.
Oh yes,
and all of a sudden the manager comes in, and the privileges are gone, and you got a graft. We saw it happen under Unai Emery, where the privileges started to go, and they were at loggerheads. Don't forget, Ozil got dropped by Emery first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's all the managers can't be wrong.
Exactly. Yeah.
Emery dropped him. Freddie Ljungberg dropped him, and he was only in it for 5 minutes. And Mikel Arteta dropped him out. So it is what it is. It's worked out whatever way. Whoever is the mole or whatever, whether it was a collective or what, I don't know who they're speaking to agents or whatever, and then the agents put in information to whoever, I don't know. But they were surplus to requirements at the club, and it's good to see. We know there's a little bit more deadwood to be cleared out, but at least Mikel Arteta and Edu are getting them out of the football club, and hopefully that culture is going to be driven to make Arsenal be and think to be the best that they can be.
I totally agree. We've got a super chat come in, Kev, so I need to read it out. And that's from Justus, and he says, apparently Mac Ryan is unlike an horse. Well, good for him.
Well, how will you know?
Good for him. I mean, he'd probably be the popular one in the shower then, wouldn't he? I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I've no idea about that, mate. No idea.
Obviously, Kolasinac has gone out and all on loan, but hopefully that will become permanent if I think Schalke stay up, Kev.
Well, he's up at the end of the season anyway. So it's just somebody getting him off the wage bill, I suppose, and giving themselves a little bit of help in their plight to stay in the league, obviously. But whatever happens, he's going to be out of Arsenal at the end of the season anyway. So, wish him well. Look, it's not his fault that he never quite worked out. But, we've got to be thinking of making Arsenal a lot better now. And players who are surplus to requirements, who can't make a real difference on the pitch, we've got to get rid of.
And obviously Socrates gone now too, with ended his contract.
Yeah, I think Socrates, he done nothing wrong really. He was okay. He done okay at Arsenal, but again, we're reducing the age of the squad, and we're getting in younger legs and brighter defenders, quicker defenders, etc. So he was surplus to requirements, and as I said, he didn't really put a foot wrong, but it's just timing. The timing was all wrong for Socrates. He had a good little stint at Arsenal, but the time's over now. So, we wish him well moving forward.
No, exactly. And quickly, Saliba gone out on loan.
Yeah, I think he was playing under 23 football, which is not good for him. He needs to play first team football. We know that Mikel Arteta wanted to get a lot of players out the door, but what he wanted Saliba to do was play regular first team football. So when he can incorporate him, there isn't the Socrates and all these, and Mustafi's not going to be there, etc. So he didn't want him learning on the job so much. He wanted to get him a nice 6 months of football. When he comes back, he's ready to go.
No, yeah, I totally agree with you. Great question here for Ernham. He said, what did Kev think of mid-season transfers when he played? Did the new lads settle in well or struggle?
Well, it was a different time then. You could take them out for a couple of beers and you could go for them. No, that was an important part of the routine, getting boys out. Because you know what, at the training ground is one thing, but socially you've got to be able to be social with the team. So what we used to do, we used to make sure we take them on a night out, see what they're really like. And it will still work out. If they weren't to our liking, we'll make sure we get them to our liking. You know what I mean? With a few shots down them or whatever. But no, we knew that the management always brought in players who they had to do their homework. Good lads, hard-working lads. And once you got that behind you, you fit in with us at Arsenal.
Just quickly, who was the lightweight when you was there, Kev? Who was the one that you would go out all the time and then you'd be late for training because of he's a bit
No,
drunk?
nobody late. No, nobody. No. You see, no. You see, that can't happen under George Graham. You see, because as George Graham would say, it's either you all go out or none of you go out.
Yeah.
And as the saying goes, you can't leave anybody behind. So you got to make sure everybody gets to training, no matter what state they're in. If you have to shower them, you shower them. You get their training kit on, and you get them out on that training pitch. Don't worry about that.
It must have been brilliant. Brilliant
great,
times.
Great days, honestly.
Yeah, I bet you miss it, mate.
It was great days, great times.
Good question here from Tony. He said Arteta still wants to keep hold of Mustafi for a while. Why? We're still wondering. I'll let you answer that, Kev. I've answered it a few times, but I'll let you give your thoughts, mate.
Yeah, Mustafi's contract is up at the end of the season, and nobody wants him until the end of the season. That's the bottom line. So, you're paying him, you might as well use him. He's an experienced defender. He's more experienced than Saliba. That's why Saliba's gone out, because if Saliba and Mustafi had the same experience, Mustafi would be the one in the background. So I just think, horses for courses. Sometimes he has to use the poor cards that he's been dealt, and then he's got to try and rejig it when Saliba gets more minutes under his belt.
Yeah. Right, that's the transfer news over and done with. Let's move on now to more important things. Arsenal and Arteta itself. Kev, give your thoughts of the season so far.
Well, it's been upside down, really. Earlier on we were awful. Obviously hit some tough times, some poor performances after winning the FA Cup last season. Everyone thought, right, we can kick on here, but it didn't quite happen. Hasn't quite happened for the likes of Willian coming in. Aubameyang went off the boil. Just coincided with him signing his new contract. Everyone's thinking, right, we're ready to go. But it just didn't pan out that way. And sometimes it happens that way. We find out a lot more about the squad, Terry, when things are going bad. When things go bad, we find out a lot about the squad. And what we've actually found out, Terry, is a lot of these experienced players, we can't rely on them.
Yep.
It's taken the likes of Bukayo Saka, who's 19 years old, to put us in his backpack, the Arsenal on his backpack, and to be assisted by Emil Smith-Rowe. Martinelli's played his part, Kieran Tierney's played his part, and Gabriel played his part. We've seen a smidgen of Thomas Partey coming, got injured, and then you see him come back the other day against Newcastle. He's a Rolls Royce. He's just incredible, isn't he? So you can see Xhaka starts improving. When it was going pear-shaped, you didn't see Xhaka. All of a sudden, the team starts playing well. Xhaka starts playing well. This is our problem. We need the experienced players to step up. And, unfortunately, it should be the experienced players helping the youngsters.
Yes.
But it's the opposite way round. That's why the season's upside down. These youngsters are carrying the experienced players on their back. And let's be honest, we're so happy and pleased for it, because you know what? We were struggling. We really were struggling. But now we're starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel. We're looking up above us, and we're seeing the likes of Chelsea 2 points in front of us, and they've spent like 200 million quid.
Okay, yeah.
We could catch them for sure. And then you're looking at Liverpool, 7 points ahead, and they're in fourth. You win the next couple of games, the league games, and then you just never know where you could be. You could be very close.
No, look, listen, I totally agree with you. It's just that I seem to look at it as a whole package, Kevin. And that is obviously at the beginning of the season, before these players all went, we didn't have a good enough squad, because you've seen it time and time again over the last 4 or 5 seasons, even back to Wenger, because 10 of these players were still under Wenger. We needed to they just, like you just explained, and I think we've all been saying it most of the time, is that the experienced players only step up when they want to step up. They're too inconsistent. Too inconsistent. And like you just said, what we're seeing at the moment, when you've got young players at 19 years old coming into the team, and they're looking like the experienced players and showing the experienced players up, I mean, that's when you know that really
we got problems.
Exactly. We can't challenge for the top 4 spaces and things like that, because if then young ones get injured, then what?
Then we're back to square one, aren't we? You know, it's not right. It's not right.
Exactly.
It's not right. Terry, well, I'll tell you one thing I will say. When you look at for 10 years, we've needed a centre-back and a centre midfielder. Yeah. Mikel Arteta, in one summer, goes out and buys a centre midfielder and a centre-half. Yeah. Gabriel, he's won 3 Player of the Months at the club, which is great. Saka's just won it this month, which is well-deserved. Thomas Partey, you could see he's head and shoulders our best central midfielder. Mm-hmm. But these players need players who can complement them, because Kieran Tierney complements Gabriel on the left-hand side. And when Kieran Tierney's not there, we don't look the same team down the left. Exactly, you know, this is just the way it is. Whenever our younger players now play or don't play, we see the difference in the team. Yes, and that just goes to show that shines the light on our lack of recruitment, our poor recruitment. It's been that poor. So, you know, it's down to Mikel Arteta and Edu to make things happen, move and shake now. If we can get some bodies in, get them in now. If not, I think the summer's going to be where obviously most of the ruthless trimming is going to happen. And it's got to be ruthless.
Yeah. And just going on by what you said there, Kev, you know, 10, I would say even longer than that, you know, that we've been waiting for this central defender and central midfielder to come in, right? And all you get is that Arteta's not an experienced manager. He's not a good pull, right? This is what you've been told, right? So, and then what you will get on the other hand is well, Emery didn't get backed, but he was an experienced manager. He won things already, same as Arsene Wenger. Arsene Wenger is, you know, was one of our best managers we've ever had. And yet, still, are we saying that he didn't get backed? Or was it Arsene Wenger that didn't go out and buy these players? The same as Emery. You know, I don't understand it. Why can't people see the other side of it? You know,
because they don't want to.
Exactly. What it is when you look at it, Kev, in my eyes, is that they simply just don't want Arteta at our club as our manager, and that's it. If they just come out and said that, that's fair enough, Kev.
Yeah, well, what I've found is people who dislike Mikel Arteta, they make up all the excuses about he hasn't got the experience. You know, he doesn't treat the players right. He's lost the dressing room. I've heard it all, Terry. Yeah. But you know what? In the last 5-6 games, from the FA Cup final run and win, I never heard one of them say, I don't want Mikel Arteta at the football club. Obviously, when things start to go pear-shaped, then you start seeing them coming out. But now that things are kind of on an even keel, they're making stuff up about, oh, you know, he can't attract this one, he can't attract that. No, the problem is Arsenal are not Man United, Man City, or one of them clubs who have got the purse strings to go out and just buy anybody they can. We have to juggle. We have to get people out. We used to shop at Arrods. Now we're shopping at Mr. Buy-Right, mate. And that's just the way life is. And you know what? He's going to build something stronger, because what we didn't have was a foundation. We had players running the show from the inside. Now we're getting rid of them players. Now it can be built, and we're getting built around a nice core of young, talented players who would live the culture. Not only be part of the culture, but live the culture.
No, I totally agree with you. Let's drill down into some of these players that have come in, and I mean, a couple of them have obviously was here beforehand, but the likes of Tierney, Kev. I mean, what has he done for this club, and how do you see him going forward, mate?
Kieran Tierney, I think, is a throwback to the days at Highbury, where the fan base could really relate to the players on the pitch, because you know what you're going to get from him. You know he's gonna fight. You know he's gonna battle. You know he's gonna tackle. You know he's gonna run. So that's a great platform to start with. And not only that, he's got some real quality in his play as well to get into the opposition danger areas. And he's even coming up with goals like screamers with his right foot at West Bromwich Albion. What's going on, man? You know what I mean? So he's in the hearts and minds of the Arsenal fans because he's a down-to-earth lad. He's not flash or anything like that, Terry. He's a good lad. Played at a massive club before. Came in injured. And if you remember, Terry, there was a lot of people moaning about, we signed another, dud. He's injured, da. Next minute, Tierney for captain. Give him a chance. Let him play. Yeah, he is captain material further down the line, but let him play.
I mean, obviously, you played with one of the best captains out there, Kev, Tony Adams.
The best. Not one of, the best.
The best. And I mean, he was Mr. Arsenal. So just give us a little insight of what you see in Tierney. Do you see like similarities to Tony Adams? He's never going to be.
Not really. No, not really. I mean, we got to remember he hasn't been at the club long.
Yeah.
Tony Adams come through the ranks at the club. Again, there's different similarities, but I think the never say die attitude. What you see is what you get. As a fan, when you watch, you don't even have to worry about Kieran Tierney. You know what you're going to get from Kieran Tierney. You could right. Here's a tenner. Kieran Tierney's going to have a decent game. If he has a bad game, you're shocked. He's up and down that left-hand side. He's causing all sorts of problems, and he's strong in the tackle, and he can defend. That's Tony Adams. But Tony Adams had a lot more, obviously, because he was commanding centre-half. He controlled. He was a natural leader. He was a natural talker. I think Kieran Tierney is naturally a quiet lad who just loves to play. But he will grow into that role of talker, because you can't. If you're captain, you've got to be able to talk. And we always say, don't we, as fans, there's a lack of leadership. There's a lack of players that talk. Kieran Tierney, I don't think is a big talker.
Yeah,
he looks after himself and he speaks to whoever's close to him. But to be that guy who's going to go and grab people, no, I think is a bit too early in his Arsenal career for that.
I'm just going to bring this up, Kev, because George just said, I don't want Arteta in our club. He's not good enough. I hope when February is done, you two can come on here and talk about the manager. Kevin, I expect more from you, the highest standards. Listen, Kev, I would love to, before you answer, I'd love to have you back in February to do this again. because there's a few YouTubers out there that have gone out and stated that once Arteta goes in February, and they said this back in before the beginning of the season, then they'll all be laughing. So I'd love to have you back next month, Kev, and we can talk again, mate.
Well, Jorge, what I want you to do, Terry, is I want you to keep this.
Yeah.
And when Arteta doesn't go in February, then we'll have a conversation. Look, it's your opinion, Jorge. I get that, you don't fancy him as a manager. That's fine. But he's in just over a season. He's won a trophy. And he's changing the culture of the football club. Now, I'm not sure if you've played football at professional level or not, but to change a culture of a club like Arsenal from the inside out takes time. It takes a long time, usually. But he's trying to do it, and he's trying to turn players over. He's trying to change culture, and he's trying to win trophies, and he's won a trophy. So I think he's done a fair job. He's done a brilliant job. He's done a fair job, and he's had an opportunity to win a trophy, and he's won a trophy. Yeah, we started the season poorly, and I agree with that. I agree with you on that one. But we are improving, and you know what? Our defense of late has been excellent. I know we got tough tests coming up, which is going to be a test for us. But 5 clean sheets is very good in the last 5 games, so we take that.
No, exactly. Look, just to add on to that, Kev, for me, I would say he's done an absolute fantastic job. For the simple reason is that if you look, for instance, Poch, he's gone to PSG now, right? He's gone to PSG. He probably only has to get 2 or 3 players in that he thinks is his player that can help that team move forward, because he's already got the foundations there. Yeah, he might need to move on 1 or 2 players if he don't like them or whatever. But the club is stable.
The nucleus of the squad is super strong. Champions League final, yeah.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Now, Arteta's had to come in. We all wanted these players to go, no matter what manager come in. If it was Arteta, if it was Mourinho, if it was Carlo Ancelotti, we still all want. Now, I think people forget, you know what I mean, that you can't, as a football manager, it's totally different to any other business. You've only got transfer windows. You can't just go in, and the next day you think, right, you, and you, out the door, see you later, goodbye. Do you know what I mean? I just don't understand how fans don't get this. You know what I mean? You still need a squad. Even if you don't want these players in your team,
you have to use them.
Players.
Yeah. You still, what people tend to forget as well is, Terry, is the contracts. Contracts mean something. You know, Socrates, fair enough. He's not involved. You could rip his contract up. You could do a deal with him and get him off the books. Fair enough. Look how long Mesut Ozil took to try and sort something out. It took near on 18 months to sort that one out to get him to a point.
Yeah,
it's murder with the contracts. We've seen it in the summer. You know, teams interested in these players. The players don't want to go, Terry, because they're on such a good screw.
Exactly, Kev. And not only that, this is what I don't understand, right? Is that people say that, for instance, someone come in for Xhaka, someone come in for Kolasinac last season, and he was on the verge of signing for him. Well, it's funny how every other team in the league, right? They come in for their players, and guess what? They get sold. So it gets across the line, it gets done deal. But because it don't happen in Arsenal, it wasn't that they didn't want the player or it was just newspaper talk. It was Arteta that wanted to keep him.
Well, I don't know sometimes. Look, Terry, we could disagree on this one because let me tell you something. There were players in the summer who could have left and they never left because of the wages. They would have to get less money.
Yeah.
And it's not Arteta saying you stay. And you know, the other thing got mentioned that Mikel Arteta offered Mustafi a new contract. Absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense did he offer him a new contract. Don't believe that crap in the media. Listen, Mustafi's days are numbered at Arsenal. We all know that. He's going to be out in the summer. So what Arteta's doing, he's got Saliba getting minutes under his belt. So when he comes back in, Mustafi, he's a lot closer to the first team. That's the key.
Yeah. No, I mean, exactly. Listen, give him credit for the other night and all, Newcastle. I want to get your opinion on this player. Obviously, a lot of fans again. Cedric, who is he? He couldn't even get in the Southampton team. Do you know what I mean? He was always injured, blah, blah, blah. The other night, Arteta shocked us all, let's be honest, because I had Bellerin to start. Same as I would say 99% of the fan base. And he's dropped Bellerin, he's played Cedric, and he's actually had a blinder. Yes, it was only Newcastle, and they're not playing that great at the moment, but you can only play what's in front of you, Kev.
Terry, look, this is the crazy thing about fan bases. He's a Portuguese international who's won the European Championship starting. Yeah. And he couldn't get into Southampton's team. He was starting in Southampton's team. Obviously suffered injury or whatever, and then obviously got ousted a little bit. But don't be disrespectful to the guy. He can play, and he can play right back and left back, let me tell you. So seeing him actually get in there and have a good game, because let's be honest, we've seen players come in against lesser opposition and be absolutely woeful. So the fact he can come in and make a difference and set a goal up, that's what we want from a right back? Look solid defensively and make a difference in attack. I think he's done okay. I'd like to see him get a little run, but I know Mikel Arteta's going to freshen things up at times, and Bellerin's going to come back and play probably, obviously, in the FA Cup game, etc. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm pleased about Cedric because I think he's a decent player. I do.
What I see the other night, Kev, I don't know if you, obviously see it and all, is the telepathy between him and Saka looked fantastic. The little one-touch football they was playing, And that didn't happen on just one occasion. That happened on a few occasions. So they obviously got some sort of understanding between each other. And to me, it looked absolutely dynamic down that right-hand side. And for me, Cedric outshone Tierney that night, which is a great thing. If we can have our fullbacks fighting against each other like Liverpool did at that time when they won the Champions League and the league, you know what I mean, of trying how many crosses and assists they got, that's exactly what we want, Kev.
Well, that's what we want from our fullbacks.
Yeah.
Because our fullbacks are the extra attackers who make the overloads on the outside or make the overloads on the inside. The fact of the matter is, the way Cedric got to the byline and cut it back for Aubameyang for his second goal, for me, that was perfect. Perfect football, that was. The fullback actually goes beyond and makes a difference in the opposition box, cuts it back and picks out his striker, bang, goal. You know, how many times do we see opposition teams do it? We see Manchester City do it all the time, etc. But we never really see that from Arsenal. Now we're seeing it from Arsenal. And some people still ain't happy, Terry. I just don't get it sometimes. You know, yeah, you could only play and beat who's in front of you. But let's have it right. We played Crystal Palace the week before, 0-0, and we were woeful.
Yeah.
So, you know, we couldn't score. So, again, Newcastle made life difficult for us in the first half. Get out in the second half, and, you know, we stepped it up a little bit and blew them away in the end, and rightly so.
Yeah. No, exactly. Let's move on to the defence then. I mean, give us your thoughts on Gabriel, how you think he's going to do and coming back in the team, Kev. And Mari, you know, another one. Why have we bought Mari? You know what I mean? He's come from a team that we haven't even heard of. He's only cost 3-4 million. You know what I mean? He's been injured since he's come here. And then look what happens. You know, if he can stay fit, I think we've got quite a good player there, Kev.
Yeah, no, he's a good player. He's a good player. And again, you know, you cannot put the price of a player down to whether he's any good or not. Let's be brutally honest. Because if that's the case, look at Martinelli. Martinelli came in, what was it, for 8 million quid? 8 million quid. He hit double figures last season. Incredible. Pablo Mari was injured. He was struggling a little bit. Got in last season, got injured long term. You know, we signed him in the summer. And when he got in the team against Chelsea, that was a shock to a lot of people. But do you know what? I think he had a really good steadying influence on Rob Holding. Rob Holding started to settle down and he started to play some of his better football. You know, he started to really look solid back there. And Pablo Mari was involved in, 3 of those clean sheets. So I think Gabriel, he's got to play. When he was fit and ready, he's got to play. And I know this might send the fan base crazy, but his ideal partner might be Pablo Mari. And you know what? People talk about 2 left-footers playing centre, but they can't play. Why can't they? If 2 right-footers can play, 2 left-footers can play. Let's have it right here. You know what I mean? This is crazy. Steve Bold and Tony Adams were 2 right-footers who done perfectly well at the back, not having that balance. So why couldn't these 2 play together? So I just think, obviously, Mikel Arteta has a problem now, doesn't he? Because David Luiz has come in with Holding, and they've had the last 2 clean sheets. So this is what a manager wants. He wants a team who are functioning, keeping clean sheets, and he wants a team that's going to give him a headache to choose who to play.
No, I totally agree. Totally agree with you. Good question here from Darren Clark. He said, question for Kev. He said, when is the last time we have started a season and been happy with our squad? For the past 12 years, we have always been short somewhere and been found out.
Well, we haven't in the last 12 years, have we? We've said that. We've said that before. It's a good question. The year when Leicester won the league.
Yes.
If we'd have got a centre-half and centre midfielder, we'd have won it. We would have won that league. But this just goes to show what was going on at Arsenal Football Club. How can Arsenal, everybody can see it, the Gooners, all the opposition fans could see we needed a centre-back and a centre midfielder, holding midfielder. And we don't get it until 12 years later or so to this summer. Come on, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Something's wrong.
I totally agree. I think, but personally, Kev, I don't know about you, but the undefeated season for me, the undefeated season was my eyes when Wenger should have dominated the Premiership for at least 5 or 6 years. He should have gone there and got a couple of more players and kept them players there. But after that season, we started to sell some players,
break it up.
Yeah, and then from them we just went backwards and backwards and backwards. Yes, we've had success in the FA Cup. You know, one-off games, like we've been saying, the players pick themselves up on that. But since then, unfortunately for Arsenal, we haven't been competing as a club for the league championship, the league cup, the league
title,
and the Champions League since then, mate. To be honest, for me, we've had 1 or 2 opportunities with the Leicester one and things like that. But apart from that, mate, we've been nowhere. Let's be real.
It's the consistency, Terry. That's what you're saying. The consistency of the football club. 1 in recruitment, 2 on the pitch, and 3 as a squad has been woeful. Look, if you're going to be up there challenging, that means you're going to have assets in the team. So if you need to move and shake, you can sell one of your assets. In the summer, we had no assets. Nobody wanted any of our players, Terry.
Exactly.
You know, that just shines the light on our problems.
Yeah.
We had no assets to sell, or the assets we do have, they're too old or they're too young.
Yeah.
And there'd be uproar. If we went and sold a Saka in the summer, there'd be uproar. You know, he didn't sell Maitland-Niles because Maitland-Niles was towing the line. But I still think there's some underlying problem there with Maitland-Niles and the manager, because Maitland-Niles 1 minute is in, next minute he's out. He gets overlooked for games. I just think Mikel Arteta knows what he wants. He's told him what he wants. And when you don't do it, he's got to bench you. He's got to, he's got to make sure you don't play. So maybe that's something that might happen either this window, or if he doesn't, then it might happen in the summer.
No, I totally agree. Let's move forward then. Partey, what a revelation he is, Kev.
Oh, he's as a footballer, he makes the midfield job look effortless because he's so comfortable on the ball. He's always available. You watch him; he's always available to take the ball, whether he's got a man on him or not. He'll take it in tight areas and he'll just maneuver it and pass. And you know, obviously, the first half against Newcastle, he was just probably finding his feet a little bit. Obviously, got in at halftime, and probably Mikel Arteta said, "Hey, start opening up, start hitting Aubameyang." And what does he do first? He gets it, first ball, bang to Aubameyang. And now Aubameyang's 1v1, which we haven't seen like that for a while. And Aubameyang, he's got a little bit of confidence about him and goes at the defender and scores a great goal. And then that was a bit more like Aubameyang, ends up scoring a brace. And as a team, we looked a lot better in that second half than we did in the first half. But I'll tell you this, Terry, we got to start games better than we have, because we can't be giving teams opportunities like we have against Crystal Palace and Newcastle. We've got to be beating these guys from the first half and not having to rely on the second half upgrade.
Just quick shout out to Taddy. He was on Monday and Tuesday show. That was another brilliant transfer news show with Taddy. Everyone, please go and give him a follow on his YouTube channel. He's saying, big up to Terry and KC. Do you think the business model of Arsenal should be adjusted a bit? I understand FFP needed to be adhered to, but there is an allowance for owners to chip in like they did with Partey, Kev.
Well, I think it's still relevant to your FFP. You can't just say, right, I'm going to lump 200 million in. I don't think you can do that. So maybe he's hit his quota with the signing of Partey and Gabriel, etc. So, don't forget we signed Cedric, we signed Pablo Mari, we signed Gabriel, and we signed Thomas Partey, Cedric, and all those guys in the summer. So maybe he's at his quota. Can it be adjusted? I think it needs to be adjusted. Could it be? It needs to be. If we're going to try and get some of those high-profile players. But from what we're seeing, it doesn't take to sign these high-profile players to get us on the front foot. Fans are thinking, we need the names, we need the names, we need the names. No, the youngsters have come in and proven that with energy, with quality, and with desire, you can make a difference in the Premier League, especially with an experienced squad like we've got, which is a shame on our squad, by the way. But we can, if we can add some more legs in there, some more know-how in there, I think we could have a right go at it. I'm not saying we're going to challenge this season, but we could have a right go at it for that top 4 because it's there.
I totally agree with everything you just said, Kev. Totally agree. Look, for me, Partey, I think he looks effortless. I just think he looks effortless. And the one thing that I love about Partey, which you see the other night against Newcastle, is that Leno giving the ball right on our goal area. And what does he do? He turns around straight away, looks at aubameyang, and bang, the ball straight over there, straight over the halfway line, and we're on the attack straight away. None of this side-to-side passing and backwards passing and all that rubbish. Every time he got the ball, 9.5 times out of 10, we went forward. And that's what we want. And that's what we want, Kev. Brilliant. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Let's move on to these two, Kev. And I know you're going to love this. And that's, let's talk about the two youngsters. What's your thoughts and feelings on these two for now, Kev, and moving forward as a football team with them?
No, I love these two. The fact that they've come through the ranks, they've proven themselves. I think Saka's been outstanding this season. As I said earlier on, Terry, you know, he's put the team on his back. He's been the jewel in the crown this season, whether he's played wide left, wide right, in the hole. He's been a difference maker for Arsenal. Made the difference playing on the right at Brighton, didn't he? As well. What a fantastic advert for Hayland these two are. Emil Smith-Rowe suffered a bit of injuries earlier on in the season, so had to get himself back playing. But his performance since the Chelsea game has been nothing short of miraculous. He's been absolutely brilliant. And their understanding of each other, and I've got to chuck Lacazette into that as well, because Lacazette tends to play better with these two because they think quick, they play forward, and they want quick pass. And Lacazette is probably the best player we've got who's a link man who could play with his back to goal. And we've seen some incredible goals from these two players. And that make me so proud, Terry. I've got to say, they make me proud, you know, as opposed to looking on the outside, we've got homegrown talent who can do it. And I know they're only young. Smith-Rowe's 20, Saka's 19. But I tell you what, that Saka, he's fearless. Smith-Rowe's fearless. We've got another absolutely brilliant youngster coming in Martinelli, who he's had his injury issues, but we've seen what he can do, and he's fire. That boy's fire and motivated and hungry. So these guys are going to push the experienced players, and these boys are the future.
Yeah. No, they totally are, mate. Two things I've said all week about them, Kev. The only downside for me for these two is, one, I want them to sign 10 years contracts so that they're here for hopefully the rest of their life. And the second thing is the main one, obviously, and that is injuries. I mean, obviously, Smith-Rowe has picked up a few injuries. Saka injuries. Martinelli has been injured a few times. You know, Partey and Gabriel, since they've come, have been injured. Tierney injured. And this is my only worry with Arsenal moving forward and people's expectation on us getting top 4, because all them players I just said, Kev, will be in our starting 11. Let's be real. You know, everyone will pick them in our starting 11. But if 2 of them or 3 of them get an injury and they're all out at the same time, we haven't got the players or the in our squad that will get in that team and help us out.
Well, here's the question though, Terry. We do have some players in our squad that can combat, but they're just not playing well enough. Willian has been a disaster so far. Hasn't quite worked out. Not saying he hasn't got the quality. He's got quality at Chelsea, but he's not done it at our place. Pepe, we've seen he's got talent. He can do it, but I don't know if it's in him to do it week in, week out. I've not seen it yet. I know he hasn't had a real run of games in the team. He was quite instrumental in our FA Cup run, which was great. But in the league, it's the league's brutal. The league's brutal, and every team you come up against, you've got a tough game. So we've not seen Pepe be as consistent as we would like. So that bolds the question again. They're supposed to be the experience, Terry, but it's the youngsters that are paving the way, which is upside down in our world.
Yeah. I'll come back to this one in a minute, James, because there's a couple of things I want to bring up that's quite funny. One was from my dad, Kev, and he said, "Tell us the truth. Are them wine bottles empty behind you?"
Yeah, they're all empty.
And there's another one here that says, Nick Smith, he says, "Good stream, guys. And Casey, is that a stripper's pole behind you?"
No, I wish it was. Unfortunately not, no.
James, good question. He said, "Would you swap Laka for Balogun? And what's your thoughts on Balogun, Kev?"
James, come on now. Come on. Balogun hasn't started a Premier League game. Do we even know if Balogun can do it as a number 9 in the Premier League? No. In the pecking order, where is Balogun? Would you put Balogun in ahead of Martinelli? No. No. So I don't know where all this hullabaloo about Balogun. Nobody's even seen him have five games. So how is he supposed to be starting ahead of Lacazette? It's nonsense. Honestly, it's nonsense, and it makes me sad, because you know what? The fact of the matter is that Balogun wants to play football. Of course he does. But don't everybody. Eddie wants to play. Martinelli wants to play. But the fact of the matter is, it's about timing. And the timing is, if you want to play, if you want to stay at Arsenal, then you're going to have to develop. Because you're not as good as Aubameyang. You're not as good as Lacazette. You're not. You're not as experienced as those guys. Martinelli's come in and he's hit double figures last season. So he's ahead of you. The only one who really you could say maybe he could go ahead of is possibly Eddie. But Eddie's started some games. But Eddie still hasn't had 6 months in a first team yet of playing, because he went on loan and wasn't even starting. So again, we have to put the brakes on. We have to pump the brakes about some of these youngsters. Does Balogun have talent? 100% he has talent. But it needs to be developed. It really does.
No, look, for me, Kev, there's a couple of little things with Balogun, and that is, obviously, he looks a fantastic prospect. Let's be real. You know, he looks a fantastic prospect. Yes, I understand that he wants to get a bit of time on the pitch and maybe on a subs bench or whatever. But my only problem with it at the moment, Kev, is that if his head's being turned already at this young age, that he thinks that he can go to another club and be the main striker there already, or get loads more time and things like that. If we do give him that here and he does stay, is his head going to be turned very, very quickly again when someone does come in for him?
Terry, it's not going to happen. I'm telling you now, it doesn't happen like that. These young players, they could think, and listen, whether his head's getting turned or whatever, it is down to the player in the end. Because if you want to stay at Arsenal, you say to your agent, listen, make it happen. I want to stay. I'm going to develop. I love the club. I'm going to stay. But if he doesn't love the club, and doesn't have to love the club. He likes playing for the club, but he wants to play. And if he's going to get opportunities elsewhere, that's what's going to happen. Yeah. People might like him at the club, but he's going to go because he thinks the grass is greener, which is his prerogative. But again, we've seen it happen so many times, Terry. These youngsters think I can go there and I'm the main man, but they've never actually developed their game. And it's going to be just as hard wherever you go, because you haven't got the fundamentals, you haven't got the gains behind you. And remember, playing a striker is different to being a midfielder or a defender, because there you got loads of people around you. As a striker, number 9, especially nowadays, you got nobody with you. You've got to do it all on your own. And you need experience because the players you're playing against are all experienced. They know how to maneuver you. They know how to hit you. They know how to, take you out of your comfort zone. So that's what he has to learn.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. Just a quick shout out to Mark. I hope you're doing well, mate. Someone I know, he said, whoever sanctioned the Willian signing should be paying his wages.
But they are. Arsenal. Arsenal are paying it. And this is the crazy thing. Yeah, it hasn't worked out, but sometimes it don't work out, Terry. Not every transfer works out.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. This is football club business. This is the way it works.
Look, for me, Kev, I said it yesterday. With Willian, I think it was a little bit of a different situation. I think Arteta coming into the club, he knew the situation, what he had to do. He knew that he had to get a load of players out. And for me, I think he went for Willian because he thought he could trust him and he would be that professional on the pitch.
Experience and off it. And off it. Yes.
Yeah, that's why I think for him.
And I believe he is. But obviously, his performances on the pitch have left a lot to be desired. So, obviously, you play for Arsenal, you don't do the business, you're going to get criticised. Comes with the territory.
Yeah.
No problem with that. But the fact of the matter is, he cost us no transfer fee. Yeah, the wages are high because he's an experienced player. That's fine. But it cost us no transfer money. So if you're going to spend 40, 50 million on a player and then you're going to have to pay him the wages, that's when it really hurts.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Are you all right for time, Kev? I don't know how long you've got.
I got till another 9 minutes. 10 past.
Quickly then, what I want to do is quickly ask you about Arteta, what you think about him going forward. And then what we do is we get some questions in and maybe we'll try and get Kev on again soon and we'll talk more in depth about it. Kev, what's your thoughts on Arteta quickly?
I think
moving forward.
No, I think Arteta's doing fine. Obviously, there will be blips. We know that, and I think he got really shocked and surprised at the lack of quality of his experienced players when he really needed it. I think the worst time I've seen him was after the Aston Villa game at home, where Villa beat us 3-0, and the team just capitulated. He didn't expect that. And I think that's what put things into his mind about, freshening things up. We saw Nicola Pepe talk about, getting an opportunity, and then he goes and gets himself sent off at Leeds, etc. So all of this is all part of the learning curve of Mikel Arteta. Seems to have steadied the ship, seems to have got his plan of getting people out and getting the culture right. These youngsters seem to have the right culture. So he's back on the up. He's had a difficult time and he's back on the up. But I think it's going to be important now. Obviously, the results now are going to be important moving forward. And we've got some real big games coming up. And if he could win some of these big games, I think, he'll turn a lot more of the fan base on his side. But I think he's still got a job to do, mind. But I think he's going about it the right way.
I totally agree. Just quickly, before everyone start getting your questions in for the last sort of five odd minutes for Kevin. But Kev, just quickly give us your predictions of the FA Cup against Southampton on Saturday and then again on Tuesday in the league.
Yeah, I go for the cup. We'll win 2-1, and in the league, we'll go 2-2.
2-2. Did you think he will change the teams? Or
yeah, he'll rotate. I think.
Okay, all right. Let's see what we've got in the chat, mate. What's the top we've got here? Earl says Bellerin hasn't kicked a ball in the Premiership yet. So what's the problem?
Exactly, Earl. No, exactly, Earl. He hasn't. So, to say he's good, he swapped him and Lacazette. Come on, no.
Good question here, Kev. David said, Casey, would you replace Bellerin with Tyrese?
Well, not at the moment. I wouldn't, because Ty's injured. But yeah, he's just rehabbing at the moment, slowly but surely, treatment and exercise and stuff like that. So he'll be back. He'll be back come the summer. But again, this is the issue. Bellerin, Ty left Man City for the opportunity to play.
Yeah.
Balogun is at Arsenal, and when you're at a club like Arsenal, you can't walk into the first team. You just can't. As a 19-year-old, you don't just walk into the first team squad unless you are incredible. I mean, even Martinelli, who scored double figures last season, doesn't walk in. So again, there must be a development phase there for Balogun. Ty's been through that. So would I swap it? It's not for me to say. You know, Ty was doing really well this season, scoring goals, assisting. So, you know, fingers crossed he can get back to that standard for next season.
John's asked, will Pep be going at the end of the season, Kev? Do you think?
Which Pep?
Pep. It must be Pep Guardiola, mustn't it? Surely.
He signed a new contract, hasn't he?
That's what I thought.
Yes. Yeah, he signed a new contract. He's going nowhere, Pep.
Nick says, I admit it, I'm a flip-flop about Arteta. At the moment I'm in. Does Kev think our future is bright with the youth we are bringing through? Loads more to come.
I think with the ones we got now, yes. But I think we've got to be very careful. They've got to be backed up with experience and quality players. Because having youngsters carrying Arsenal Football Club is not a good place to be in. It is not. You need your tried and tested, experienced players to be helping these guys get better. And I truly believe that's what Mikel Arteta is going to do, and that's what he wants to do. And he wants to build that culture right to make us proud as fans. So I think that's what his plan is.
Fantastic, brilliant. Mark says, how well did you think Partey played on Monday? I think he's more of a Manu or Vieira than Gilberto. Of the midfielder players, he's the only one who plays forwards. Xhaka and Mo are too slow in getting it forward.
I thought he was outstanding again, you know, saying that he's effortless what he does. He's got everything in his locker, what he can. For me, I think he needs a midfield partner. And I was talking about Bissouma at Brighton. I think to get Ndidi might be a bit difficult. I like Ndidi, but I think Bissouma, that kid can play and he could put it about as well, which is what we need. That then can release Thomas Partey to go forward and do a lot more than he's actually doing, because he's got unbelievable ability in and around the box as well. He could pick the pass, as we saw on Monday, but he's even better. He can beat people in midfield and drive with the ball. So I think we need to unlock all of his qualities. And if we do that, we need somebody to be able to sit behind him and protect.
Yeah, totally agree. Jonathan said, Tony said, KC, looking back in your day to now, do you think the training is harder or easier?
Easier now. Oh, my God. A lot easier. I mean, you just need to look at the pitches that they play on. They're bowling greens.
Yeah.
You look at some of the pitches that we used to have to play on, the mud heaps, you know, no grass on it. Do you remember the old baseball ground at Derby? My God, man, it was like rolled mud. It was rolled mud with lines on it. And it was incredible. And you had to be fit, you had to be strong, you had to be tough. And there was no 7 or 8 subs either.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? 7 subs and all that. There was 2 subs. That was your lot. So, you had to have a strong squad mentally and physically.
Okay. Jonathan says, Kev, of all the players you've played with, who do you think would have made the best manager? Good question.
I don't know. I don't know. I would have said Tony Adams would be a good manager, but look what happened with him. Had all the attributes, etc., etc. But sometimes, that's not what it takes. So at the time, I would have said Tony Adams. But
Okay.
what do I know?
Quickly, David said, on that point, would you encourage a youngster to leave to play regularly and then play bit part at a big club?
Well, for me, it's what the kid wants. If the kid wants to play, then he's got to leave. This is just facts. Being a bit part, you could be a bit part for such a long time that, you get to 20, 21, 22, and you're still a bit part player. And you don't develop properly. So fair enough, if there's a program in place for the likes of Balogun, there's a program, say, right, you know, you signed a contract. First thing you're going to do, you're going to go out on loan. You're going to go out on loan to the championship and you're going to play. You're going to play in the championship and let's see how you do. You do the business, you come back in the summer, then we'll see how you go with us in pre-season. That's that type of thing. Then if it doesn't quite work out for you, you go on loan again. You do 2 loans, and once you do the 2 loans, you come back, then we know you can cut it. If you don't cut it when you're on loan, it's very difficult sometimes for you to cut it at Arsenal.
Yeah.
But at least the player is developing, he's playing games, he's getting the minutes. Balogun doesn't even know what it feels like to finish 90 minutes in the Premier League or in the first team because he's never done it. So that's what we need to do. We need to get him in there. We need to get him up to speed in men's football. And if that works for him, fine. But if he thinks, listen, I want to go somewhere where I'm close to the first team, I'm always going to be involved, then he's got to move. It's just the way of the world.
Another great question here. Marlo, he says, Kev, what's the hardest thing about being a footballer that fans don't see?
Sacrifice.
Yeah.
100% is the sacrifice. We're human just like you, but we can't do the things you do. You know, you can't eat what you want. You can't, listen, footballers have the days where, you know, when you get up and you don't fancy it, footballers have them days as well, let me tell you. But what you got to do, you got to get up, you got to get yourself in, get your training kit on, and you got to get out there. That's the nature of the game. And the good ones are the ones who know how to do it week in, week out.
Just a quick one here. Aubameyang blood clot Yan has put, Kev, why is your Arsenal goal scoring record average? Was it because of variety?
No, of course it's not. It's because it's a team game. It's a team game. Listen, for me, it's about winning. Yeah. I'm an Arsenal fan. I want to win. I don't care who gets the goals. I don't really care. I wanted to win. And that's what it was about. It was about winning. And when you win with Arsenal, I'm the happiest man. Brilliant.
Kev, look, I know you've got to shoot off, mate. And I'd love to have you back again, mate. Whenever you're free, just let us know because, I mean, we can do a proper question and answer one for the people in our chat because I know they all love you, Kev. And I'd like to do another one with you about 89 because I know what a special year that was with David Rocastle, Michael Thomas, Paul Davis, Tony Adams, all the old guys.
The whole boy. And do you know what? All the boys you've mentioned were homegrown.
All homegrown.
In that squad was so many homegrown players. For both them titles, 89 and 91 was even more homegrown. It was incredible time to be Arsenal fan.
Was there how many like foreign players was there in that squad? Can you remember? I don't think
foreign players in what squad?
In the 89.
None.
Was there?
No. And 91, none.
Wow. You don't even think of it like that, do you? Do you know what I mean? Because it was so long ago. But I mean, what a great squad of players, great teams. But Kev, definitely, whenever you're free, like I said, we'd definitely have you back on, mate. And we get the people in the chat to ask you more questions. And like I said, definitely do another 89 show because, I mean, that is such a fantastic moment in Arsenal's history. And you was part of it.
Well, when you hear about the actual day, because we never went up the day before. We went up the day of the game, Terry. And remember, it was an evening kickoff. So we went up.
Wasn't it? Friday night.
It was a Friday night. And just to let you into a little insight, I got picked up at Brixton Town by David Rocastle at 5 a.m. Right? So that was the start of the day for me. Brilliant.
5 o'clock. And then
5 o'clock in the morning. We come back. We probably got back to South London about 9 o'clock the next morning.
And do you remember much of that?
No, listen, I remember it. I remember it all, mate. It was incredible. You got to remember, I was part of the squad, but I never played.
Yeah.
And I'm an Arsenal fan, and it was just such an incredible moment for me as an Arsenal fan. And then to be growing up with a lot of these guys, to see them beat Liverpool at Anfield to win the league title, mate, was a special for me. Absolutely special.
Well, as
but
you said,
we'll cover that another time. We'll cover that another time.
Look, Kev, thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate everyone in the chat. Like I said, we'll get Kevin back on and we'll have a bit more time with your questions and that. But for now, Kev, honestly, fantastic. Really appreciate it, mate. You're one of the best out there, boy.
Thanks for having me on, Terry, and everybody in the chat. Thanks for coming and joining us. And maybe check us out at the Highbury Squad tonight. It's the fan forum tonight, believe it or not. The fan forum. So get any questions, and you could video it or do a voicemail to at the Highbury Squad @gmail.com.
And what you got to do, Kev, is tell the girls to that we're definitely getting a show sorted out where you all three of you can come over and we'll do a show with all three of you. Because I know that you have a bit of banter with PG and
yeah, we have it all. We have it all. So we'll see what we can do, definitely, Tel. We'll speak about that anyway.
Yeah, no problem. All right.
Cheers, everyone. Thanks, Tel.
See you soon. Thanks a lot.
Bye.